everyone, and welcome to episode 41 of the Dear Herbalist Podcast titled, Your Body Keeps the Score. In today's fast-paced society, numerous health issues arise from long-term unaddressed issues, both mentally and physically. We often believe that we can suppress these negative emotions, traumas, or injuries, but the reality of it is that our bodies keep meticulous records of these experiences. There are countless of mechanisms that are at play that track every situation that we encounter, both externally as well as internally. So in this episode, we will dive deep into understanding these mechanisms and how they influence our overall health. So get your pens and notepads ready, because this information could be transformative for helping your clients as well as your family. By understanding the root causes of health issues, we can provide more effective solutions. Now, like I told y'all, we are going to dive deep. So come along with me tonight. Get your pens, get your notepads, take some notes, get you something to drink, put a little ice in it, because this information can help you as well as your clients and your family. This is one of the ways that you can help them understand the root cause of an issue. The reality of it is today for us herbalists is that we have to dive deeper and ask more questions. We cannot simply just have someone come hobbling over to us with arthritis and think we can just throw some herbs at it and keep it moving. If there's some suppressed or repressed emotions there, you kind of have to address those things. Now, am I asking you to step outside of your scope of capabilities and, act like a therapist or something like that? No. But because we are herbalists, we believe in the spirit, soul, and body, all three working together, then those are the issues that we're going to have to address. And we can at least have some tools to provide to our clients to help them to be able to address these issues. Okay. And if not, then you can refer them to the proper, I don't want to say authorities, but proper people that could help them, right? Other proper professionals. Maybe I should just say that can actually help them address these specific issues. It's just like if you have clients, really before you start diving into herbs, especially if you're a clinical herbalist, you want to do like a food log and, all these other different types of logs. Well, having this information is just as important. Their mental health, all of these things are just as important. Why? Because they do play a role in their total health and wellness. So we cannot skip this process. Now, this topic is very important for herbalists to understand, because understanding how the body keeps the score of repressed emotions, stress, and trauma is crucial for herbalists for several reasons. Okay, you don't need to have a ton of fancy degrees to learn this information, but you do need to learn it so that it can help you provide better and more effective solutions for your clients. Me personally, I am a self-taught herbalist that also has a naturopathy diploma. And most of what I know, I've studied for years on my own. Why? Because I have a genuine curiosity for the human body and the plant body, how they work separately as well as how they work together. So in order to get that knowledge, I have to study a variety of topics and have read a ton of books on a variety of different topics and subjects. Okay, so if I can do it, you can do it too. Well, let me rephrase this. You should do it too. So, what are some of the main reasons that herbalists need to know and understand this topic? Number one, we have, like I said before, a holistic healing approach. We often embrace a holistic view of health, considering the body, the mind, and the spirit as interconnected. So we recognize the impact of emotions and stress on physical health. This will allow us to understand how we can create a more comprehensive and effective treatment plan that address the root cause of the illness, not just the symptoms. Next, we'll talk about informed herbal prescriptions. So knowledge about how the body stores and manifests repressed emotions can guide us in selecting herbs that support both the physical as well as the emotional healing. For example, you can take adaptogens like ashwagandha, right? And they can kind of help the body manage stress. While nervines like your lemon balm or valerian, these can soothe anxiety as well as promote relaxation. So you see how that all works together? Another reason we as herbalists need to know this information because it enhances our clients' understanding and care. So if we understand the connection between emotional health and physical symptoms, we can better educate our clients about it. And this awareness that we have will foster deeper trust and rapport with our clients because they will feel heard. They will feel understood, especially on different levels. And it can also empower clients to take a more active role in their healing journey. There are many times where even while I'm out doing vendor fairs and things like that, I've had people come to me and, we started talking about herbs. We started talking about their physical issues. I am asking questions. And then somehow we lead down this rabbit trail of other emotions. Maybe they're going through a divorce. It's a high stress time at the job. I mean, we just end up there, but it's a reality. And it triggers in my mind, like, this is the real issue. This is what's really, really, truly going on. So when you ask those specific type of questions, then it helps you understand how you can formulate a plan to address those specific issues that they might be dealing with mentally so that their body can have the proper conditions to heal itself physically. You follow me? Another thing, by having this knowledge, herbalists can help prevent a lot of chronic conditions, right? Because chronic stress and unresolved emotional trauma can lead to long-term health issues such as heart disease, digestive disorders, and autoimmune conditions. So by addressing these underlying emotional factors, we can actually help people prevent the progression of acute issues into chronic conditions. Another thing is that we could also create a personalized plan or protocol for that client because every individual responds to stress and emotions differently. So understanding the body's mechanisms for storing emotions will allow us to tailor our recommendations to each person's unique needs. Not everybody carries stress the same. Not everybody handles certain levels of stress. Some people can't handle certain stress at all, not even a drop, not even a pin needle amount of stress. And then some people seemingly carry, a daggone huge amount of stress and seem to be carrying it, but not really. Okay? But because everybody is different, you need that personalized protocol for that specific client, tailored, your recommendations to each of their unique needs. All right. And this will help the herbal remedies work. A lot of people want to know, how does it work? Well, you got to solve these puzzles. Like I said before, when it comes to herbal remedies, it's really about solving puzzles. And once you have the puzzles and the body has the proper conditions, right? Because you've used the herbs to do it, then you've helped restore that person back to balance. And then the body can heal. All of its mechanisms can activate. And it can do what it was designed to do. So this is another reason why we need to know this aspect of herbal medicine, of mental health, all of that. Another thing is that we as herbalists, we often work alongside other healthcare practitioners, right? This can include psychologists, nutritionists, body workers, right? So understanding the emotional aspects of health can help facilitate better communication and collaboration with these professionals, leading to a more integrated and effective healthcare plan. So oftentimes you may have someone that is not only working with you as the herbalist, but they also may be working with a chiropractor. Right? Now, there are some physicians out there. They're probably not going to promote that, but there are some physicians out there that do work alongside herbalists also. And so having that knowledge of the human body, but also having that knowledge of the plant medicine and how they work together, it works better for the client. Okay? If it works, it works. Let's just put it that way. So let's get down to the science of these things. Let's look at the mechanisms of emotional storage in the body. How does the body store the negative emotions? Let's start with your neurological center. Okay. Now, stress and trauma can alter the brain function and structure, particularly in areas like the amygdala, and that's the site of emotional processing, and the hippocampus. That is the site for memory and formation. All right. In your hormonal system, Chronic stress triggers the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which can affect various bodily functions and lead to several imbalances. In your muscular system, your emotions can be stored in the muscles, leading to chronic tension and pain. Let me say that again. Emotions can be stored in your muscles, leading to chronic tension and pain. So if you have a client that is just super tight in the muscles, in the hands, okay, maybe an issue there. In the digestive system. So in our body, we have something called the gut-brain axis. And this highlights the connections between the emotions as well as our digestive health. And with stress, this often exacerbates the conditions like irritable bowel syndrome and ulcers. Okay, have you ever been really nervous? You got something coming up. Next thing you know, your stomach starts to clench and twist and all of that. Why? Because the gut and the brain are connected. So keep that in mind. Let's look at what happens in our immune system. So in our immune system, chronic stress can weaken our immune system, making the body more susceptible to infections as well as illnesses. And if that happens, we have a manifestation of disease. So when the body retains repressed emotions and chronic stress, it can manifest as physical disease such as hypertension, heart disease, ulcers, IBS, acid reflux, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, anxiety, depression, lupus, post-traumatic stress disorder, rheumatoid arthritis. Okay? Rheumatoid. I said rheumatoid. But, these are autoimmune diseases, right? Lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. Okay? So when the body retains these repressed emotions and chronic stress, it can manifest as these things. And a lot of people don't believe it, but you got to talk to them about it. This is where the education comes in at. All right? So that was a general overview. Let's dive in a little deeper and let's talk about the physiology of repressed emotions. Now, physiology means how something works, how the body works. Okay? So when we have stressed or repressed emotions and these type of things, it impacts our body systems like I spoke about briefly before. And because of that, if it disrupts how our body works, it throws everything off. And now we have other issues manifesting as dis-ease, lack of ease, imbalance, disorder, out of order, lack of order. Okay? So let's go back to our nervous system. The autonomic nervous system plays a key role in how our body processes stress as well as emotions. Now, it has two main components. The sympathetic nervous system, which triggers our fight or flight response, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes our rest and relaxation. Chronic activation of the sympathetic nervous system due to your repressed emotions like anger, fear, resentment, this can all lead to a state of heightened alertness, releasing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Now, let's look at our endocrine system. So, in the endocrine system, we have what they call the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. All right. And this axis is involved in the stress response. So when emotions are repressed, the body receives this as a continuous stressor, leading to prolonged secretion, meaning that it gives out long-term cortisol. It just keeps pumping it out, pumping it out, pumping it out. Well, what happens is that elevated levels of cortisol can impair your immune system, how it functions. It can increase inflammation. It can also disrupt your metabolic processes, contributing to a variety of physical and mental health issues. In your musculoskeletal system, right, emotions can be stored in the body's muscles. So chronic stress and repressed emotions often manifest as muscle tension, particularly in areas such as the neck, shoulders, and lower back. This tension can lead to pain, restricted movement, and other musculoskeletal problems. Let's look at our immune system. Now, persistent stress and repressed emotions can weaken the body's immune system. And I know people have heard that before, but I don't think they really understand why or how that's possible. If your immune system is weak, okay, this makes the body more susceptible to infections and illnesses. All right. Inflammation is also a common response to chronic stress, which can contribute to conditions such as autoimmune diseases, cardiovascular diseases, and chronic pain disorders. Let's look at your digestive system. So like I talked about before, the gut-brain axis. This connects the emotional and cognitive centers of the brain, right, with the peripheral intestinal functions. So repressed emotions and stress can lead to gastrointestinal issues. So issues in your stomach, such as, like I said before, IBS, ulcers, even other digestive disorders. Now, let's look at a few, and I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's look at a few of the dis-eases, okay, that occur from repressed emotions. So you have conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome. You ever heard somebody who's like, I'm just so tired. I'm tired. I'm just so fatigued. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. Right? I need you to give me an herb to wake me up. Do you have an herb to give me energy? I'm just so tired. You heard that before? Fibromyalgia. Okay? And somatic symptom disorders. These are often linked to chronic stress as well as repressed emotions. A lot of this stuff is not even talked about, even in mainstream medicine. I think now they're starting to come around to the mind and body medicine and that type of stuff. But before, they weren't taking these things into consideration. Maybe because they didn't care, or maybe because they didn't have enough time to think about it. You've got 20 minutes or 30 minutes to sit in there. It's like, what's going on? Okay, I think this is what it is. Here's a prescription. Keep it moving. But how many people would really benefit from the understanding that, first of all, this can be addressed, right? It can be addressed. You're going to have to do a little work. You're going to have to dig up some issues. You're going to have to deal and face some things you didn't want to face. But the goal should be total wellness. That should always be the goal. And if one part of that 3-part system is off balance, it throws everything else off balance. So this is the reason why all 3 elements of yourself have to be in proper balance. All right, so let's look at cardiovascular diseases. All right, so persistent stress, negative emotions, these can increase the risk of hypertension, heart attacks, and strokes due to elevated blood pressure as well as inflammation. I often ask myself too, it's like, how many people that have died from heart issues, how many of those people have died actually from a broken heart? And how can you realistically diagnose something like that? As a doctor, I'm not saying as an herbalist, but how can you realistically do that? But I wonder that. How many people have died because of a broken heart? Right? So let's look at repressed emotions as far as mental health issues are concerned. So these emotions can also lead to anxiety disorders, right? There's a high level of anxiety going on right now in our world. So repressed emotions can lead to anxiety, depression, PTSD. And of course, these conditions further impact your physical health, and they throw you into this crazy cycle. The next is autoimmune diseases. We talked about those because as the immune system becomes dysregulated, it begins attacking the body's own tissues. And it's an interesting study because I often wonder, I'm like, why would the body attack itself? Because on every single cell, we have markers. We have self cells, things that help the body and the immune system identify us as us. So if the cells are lurking around, or when I say cells, I mean our immune system cells, our fighters, if they're lurking around in our body and they see our own very cells and they launch an attack on our cells, it's because the marker that's there, is it ineffective? Is it defective? Or is it the fighter cell's inability to correctly see and identify that those cells are our self cells? So Answer that in the comments. Anybody that knows the answer to that. It's always been very interesting to me, these different autoimmune disorders and diseases and things like that. I've always wanted to study that out because I just want to know. It's like the more I learn about the human body and its design and its intelligence, I get even more curious when it seems like the body is unintelligent and it does something opposite of what it was designed to do. What causes it to do that? That always, it just excites me, and it helps me to, like, go research. Like, what is that? How do you not know it's me? Right? But there's a reason. Okay? And in this instance, chronic stress triggers it. Okay? It exacerbates autoimmune diseases. And this is what throws the immune system off. It becomes dysregulated. So it's an interesting study. Take a look at it and tell me what you guys think about that. Let's have a conversation about that. So get some studying in there and put some comments down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have found, how that works, right? I talked to you a little bit about the gastrointestinal disorders like IBS, gastritis, which is inflammation, and peptic ulcers. These can either develop or worsen due to chronic emotional stress. So then the body keeps the score, right? But what are some of the signs? Let's look at some of the signs. Because a lot of people say, okay, the body's keeping score. How do I know? How do I know that the body is keeping the score? What are the manifestations and the things that happen besides dis-ease or disorder, right? Well, one of them is chronic pain and tension. So do you have unexplained chronic pain, particularly in your neck, shoulders, back? This can indicate stored emotions. All right. Frequent headaches and migraines. These can also be a sign as well that you might need to address some things. Digestive issues, persistent gastrointestinal problems without a clear medical cause. These can also be linked to to emotional stress. All right. So symptoms like nausea, IBS, acid reflux. These things too can also be related to repressed emotions. So if you go and, you go see a doctor and they just like, we don't know what to do. We done ran all the tests. We done did everything we know to do. Nothing's really showing up because, their tests are designed to look at the activity of the blood, the activity of the cells in your urine, the activity of cells, period. They don't have tests for mental health. They don't have tests for, repressed emotion, rage, unrepentant hearts, right? They don't have tests for that. They don't have tests for emotional stress. They have tests for physical stress on the body, but not emotional stress. So if they're telling you, look, this disorder or dis-ease is manifesting, but we can't really link it to any clear medical issue, then that might be a sign that your body's keeping score. It's telling you, hey, it's time to deal with this. It's time to stop running. You've been running for too long. I need you to deal with this so that I can do my job to keep you alive and keep you healthy, keep you whole, keep you living. Wake up. Another thing is sleep disturbances. So if you have difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or experiencing restful sleep, these can be due to underlying emotional stress. This also includes nightmares, vivid dreams. These can also be a sign as well. Mood swings, emotional reactivity. So if you have a increased sense of irritability, anxiety, depression, these can indicate that your emotions are not being processed properly. Emotional numbness, right? Or a feeling of being detached from your feelings could also be present. And the reality of it is that if you just take a little time, spend a little quiet time with your body, you'll be able to really, truly sense and understand what's going on. But the problem is we don't think we're ready yet. We don't think we're ready to face those fears. What type of person are we going to be if we wake up one day and we decide to deal with or address the issues of our molestation? What are we going to be, or what is life going to be like once we accept the fact that we hated our fathers, we hate our children, or we hate ourselves, right? What is going to happen when we wake up to the reality of those things? And a lot of people, they don't want to deal with it. So they keep tucking it and tucking it and tucking it. And the body's trying to say, listen, I can't handle this. I don't want to handle this. I want to focus on keeping you alive, keeping you healthy, keeping you balanced, keeping you focused. And you keep stuffing stuff down the pipe for me to have to try to clear out. When are you going to address it? When are you going to deal with it? I don't want to have to shut your organs down and lay you down for you to understand, for you to get to the point to where, okay, I've got to put you on your back so that you can take time to deal with it. But you got to deal with it, and you got to stop running. All right. Another thing is frequent illness. That could be a sign as well that your body has kept the score, that your body is dealing with emotional illnesses or repressed emotions, that type of stuff. Because a weakened immune system can lead to frequent colds, infections, slower recovery from illnesses if you get infected with anything. All of this can be a result of chronic stress. You can also have autoimmune flare-ups and then unexplained inflammation, because these things can also be linked to repressed emotions. Okay? But because I'm the type of person, I don't want to just give you the problems. I don't want to just talk about the problems. I want to give you solutions, not only for you, but for your clients and your family as well. Now, you must understand, when you're talking about addressing emotional issues, you got to do it carefully, especially with your clients. If you don't feel qualified or comfortable to pull back that Band-Aid and expose that wound, then do not do it, because you can impose more harm than good. Okay? But if you feel comfortable doing that, make sure you educate yourself on ways to process people through those things safely, right? Safely. You don't have to go all deep with it, because some people just ain't that deep. It's just sitting on the surface layer. It can be addressed with someone else. But understand that it's not easy. And for your clients, they may not be so receptive. It may be a process for them. You may need to hold their hand through this process. Because when you open up those wounds, or you open up that box, all right, it's the unknown, the fear of what could happen that prevents people from being willing to do that. And then some are sick and tired of being sick and tired, so they just crack open that box regardless, and they tough it out. And they cry and they cry and they cry if they have to. They tear up toilet paper if they have to. But they talk it out, they pray it out, they journal it out, because they're tired. And the reality of it is, the body too gets tired, because it doesn't want to hold all of that. And it doesn't want you to carry all of that. It's not here to work against you. It's here to keep you alive. So let me give you a few ways to clear the body of stressful emotions and promote healing. Number one, because I am a spiritual person, I'm going to always say number one, spiritual things. Now, if you don't believe that, or, whatever, that's your business. I'm going to let you, that's between you and the Most High. It ain't got nothing to do with me. But because I believe in it, and because I know, because it's worked for me, this is what I'm going to tell you. In 1 Peter 5:7, it says, "Cast all your cares upon him, for he careth for you." So casting all your cares on the Most High. Now, I use the Hebrew name Yah. Some people call him God. Okay? But casting your cares upon him daily. And for some, every hour, every minute, every time you think about it, every time you get concerned, cast your cares upon him, because he cares. That's why you cast them upon him. He cares. He knows. He sees. He understands. He knows how to walk you through that process better than any human being on this earth can walk you through that process of healing. but it requires you giving up something. And that is your control of the situation. And allow him to walk you through the healing process of unpacking the junk, of peeling off those layers of that onion of trauma, one by one, giving it over to him and trusting in him and leaning on him. So that will be my number one. That is always my number one. Every bit of advice that I have to give you, that's the first one. Casting your cares upon him. Next is mindfulness. Now, many people have different meanings for mindfulness, but my thing and my meaning, okay, or my definition of mindfulness is this: being aware of your emotions and how they affect your body. Sometimes in this fast-paced society, we just go. We move from one thing to the next. That's how you can run out the house and forget if you cut the stove off. Or you run out the house and you forget, dang, did I unplug the iron? Or you run out the house and you've got one shoe on. You're not being mindful in the moment. You're too busy going out. You're a socialite. You're the star of the party. You're going. People are pulling from you left and right and left and right. So no, you don't have time to sit with yourself in silence. You don't have time to really think about how you feel. How you feel about that situation, that person, whatever it is, on your job, at church, in the grocery store, in your bed with you. You don't have time to think about that because you're on go mode. But practicing mindfulness means sit down. Okay? Be aware of how you feel. Acknowledge it. Okay? Dig up those repressed emotions. Take some deep breaths, okay? Relax those muscles. But you have to be mindful of it. Also, you hear the word triggers a lot. Everybody's using triggers. Oh, they triggered me. That triggered me. This triggered me. Right? Well, you're being triggered because you haven't dealt with it. Because if you truly dealt with something, no one can trigger you. You would just look at them like, whew, glad I moved on from that. But because you're being triggered, that lets you know your body is still storing it. It has not let it go. So that means it's time to let it go. If you hear this message, I really believe it in the bottom of my heart. You are supposed to hear it. Whoever you are, wherever you are, you are supposed to hear it. And I'm here to tell you right now, today, it's time to let go. Let it go. Let it go. All right. Another thing that you can do is physical exercise. Okay. This can include walking. You don't have to be nothing strenuous. Get out there and walk. But this helps release pent up energy. It also helps to release muscle tension. Okay. And it also stimulates the production of endorphins, which are natural mood lifters. You ever wonder after a good dance or after a good workout how you just feel like you're higher than a kite? That's endorphins. I feel like that's your body saying, yeah, you go, girl. You go, boy. Keep that up. That's exactly what I needed. Okay? A lot of people got a lot of bundled up tight energy. It's time to hit that pavement. Get to walking if you can't run. And if you don't want to run, get to lifting weights. And if you don't want to lift weights, do a little dance. Do something. Make a little love. Get down tonight. Okay? Do something. You got to get that physical activity going so that you can get those healthy endorphins in there. Get that body smiling again. Another thing that you can do, and I often recommend to people as well, is therapeutic writing. So journaling about your emotions and experiences can help you process and release those repressed feelings. Sometimes just sitting down thinking about the situation and writing it out, how you feel. You may go back and read your journal and be like, oh my gosh, I'm like 2 words away from being a serial killer, or a homicidal maniac. Oh my God. But it's okay. Let it out. Because if you're letting it out of you, it's not sitting inside of you. I don't care how angry it is. I know sometimes when I'm at a heightened emotional state and I'm trying to journal, or I'm trying to write, it's like my brain is going faster than my hand, and my hand gets cramped up because it's like I want to just get it all out. Y'all feel me on that? Is anybody else out there like that? But I know me, that's how I am. And my hand gets cramped up, so I have to slow down, which is hard because once I open that box, now it's just coming and flowing and flowing and flowing. But I can tell you it's also freeing. It's freeing. The scriptures say we should live as a people who are free. Okay? And tied up in our repressed emotions or our self-hate or our anger, whatever, that's bondage. So free yourself. Okay? Free yourself. Do some expressive writing. Write, freely your deepest thoughts, your feelings. Don't go back and try to, oh, I didn't say this right, or oh no, I shouldn't say this, or oh, I shouldn't do this, because if somebody ever finds my journal, they're going to think I'm nuts. Hide it somewhere in the lockbox then. But do not stop writing. Okay? Now, there have been studies about writing, therapeutic writing. Okay? So go research it. For those that I don't believe in all that, okay, fine, you ain't got to believe in all that. Maybe go read some studies, and if you still don't believe in it, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay? Go back to my first point and pray. Next, therapy and counseling. So therapists and counselors have their place, and they can provide a safe space to explore and process repressed emotions. If you recommend a therapist or a counselor to your client, make sure they're trustworthy. Make sure they have the ability to build a rapport. Make sure they're not judgmental or they're just there to get a check. Okay, if you are an herbalist clinician, make sure that you are just not shoving off your clients to somebody that's just trying to make $1. Okay, because what's going to happen is here you are, you have a protocol for them, and you think you're going 10 steps forward, and you're sending them off to someone else to address that particular part of their life, and they send them 10 steps back. They're quickly, causing them to open up boxes, and they don't, process it with them. They're just like, yeah, open this one, open this one, open this one. Okay, I'll see you next week. Because there should be an end date. My mom always says there is an end to all things. So there should be an end date. We should be working towards wholeness, wellness. And if you have an herbalist working together with a therapist or a counselor, everybody's playing their part, but the end game is complete wellness. Not, let me figure out how I can squeeze money out of you, open up all your boxes and then ditch you. Or try to spread it out rather than taking our time and building. Making sure you're okay, doing check-ins, especially after conversations where you're really digging up some deep, painful issues. Do some follow-up. Okay? Also do follow-up with your clients. If you do send them or recommend a therapist or a counselor, do some follow-up with them as well. Don't dig all in their business, right? Unless you've built a rapport and they told you, But just check in. How is it working out for you? And then a lot of times you'll be able to see how things manifest in their body. You'll see a lightness in their eyes. And that'll let you know that there has been a release that has happened. A deliverance that has happened. So pay attention to those cues, but don't just ship them off to anyone. All right? Another thing is body work. All right? So a massage therapist, a chiropractor, get them on your team. Get somebody that you know that is good, that you can also use for yourself and refer your clients to, because they can help release that stored tensions and emotions from the body. It's a team effort. Okay? It's a team effort. And if you have everyone working together as a team to help better this person's life, your client, your family member, yourself, whoever it may be, how much better of a person would you be? So, as an herbalist, please work to understand how the body keeps the score. This is a huge part of why disorders and diseases manifest. It is a huge part, a part that cannot go unnoticed. Educate yourself. Like I said, don't be lazy and just like, oh, I'll just ship them off somewhere else to have some tests done. Go do your work. Do your due diligence so that you can identify, when someone may need that extra help. And if you can't address it, then definitely refer them to someone else who can. But you need to know this information as well. We can't just be those type of herbalists where it's like, here's just the herbal remedy and keep it moving. I don't know about you guys, but anybody that I've helped or anybody that I've spoken with, it has always gone deeper than just the ailment that they present with. Always. The more I talk to them, the more I ask questions, it always ends up being something else. I always end up walking away with a little bit more business than I probably should know, but it's okay because now I know how I can work with that person. Okay? So get out there, get the knowledge. It is free. You can go anywhere if you want to learn about the human body more. Go listen to lectures for free on YouTube. Okay. I mean, YouTube University is huge, right? Google. There's so many different avenues that you can learn all this information for free. Take the time, especially if you want to be an herbalist clinician. And a clinician doesn't have to necessarily be somebody that has a clinic. You can have a mobile clinic. You can have an office where you have, or a wellness center. If you have clients that you see, that you assess their situation, and you make recommendations based on their situation, okay, you are an herbalist clinician. All right? Because I'm assuming that you're going a little deeper than just where does it hurt. That's my assumption. I know what they say when you assume, but I'm just going to have to do that. Now, if you thought you could only stay on the surface level, I wouldn't call yourself a clinician because you have to go deeper. You have to go deeper. And it takes a little more time. And you can't do the drive-by-night answers and that type of stuff. You really got to ask more questions, probe a little more, track some things, look at their diet plan, look at how their, mental health is. You got to do a lot more. But it is so worth it. And if you can encourage your clients to do the work, they will see a better version of themselves. And you will get to be a part of that process. You will get to facilitate that process. So, if you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all social media platforms at The Demystified Herbalist. And if you need some products or things to kind of help you with your physical ailments and things like that, anxiety, stress, arthritis, and all of that, head on over to my website at thedemystifiedherbalist.square.site and pick you up some products. And until next time, family, I'm out.